Hi, it's Kevin Bates here, and today I thought I would talk a bit about some thoughts I had after reading a paper by Scott Locklin on the effect of the velocity of movement of tokens in a cryptocurrency economic system. It was a good paper, and it pointed out a number of flaws that some people in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space made when using mathematics to make pronouncements about the effect of the rate of movement of tokens in an economic system, and in particular the effect of hoarding tokens on the value of those tokens. Now, I'm not an economist by training, and I find some of the stuff that comes out of economics quite counterintuitive, but the paper was interesting because it pointed out that some of the statements that people have made were based on equations that were dimensionally incorrect. Now, those of you who did maths or physics at high school may remember that there was this thing called dimensional analysis, whereby if you have an equation, then the units on the left-hand side of the equation have to match the units on the right-hand side of the equation. If they don't, something has gone wrong. So if you have an equation where the left-hand side is talking about distance and the right-hand side is talking about volume, then there is something fundamentally flawed about that equation. It cannot be correct, because distance is one dimension and volume is a three-dimensional entity. You cannot go and buy 1 meter of milk, and you cannot say that I cycled 40 cubic meters today. That kind of stuff would not make sense. And this actually, I think, links into where this problem arises from, namely that in mathematics it's required that your equations are dimensionally correct, but in everyday English language use, or in language use, we make statements all the time that are dimensionally incorrect and yet are still perfectly meaningful. For example, if you go to a fruit market, a grocer may say these bananas are £5, and obviously in its literal sense, a bunch of bananas is not £5. Those are two distinct entities, but of course everybody knows exactly what you actually mean by that statement, and that is that in order for me to give you these bananas, you have to give me £5. So I think that's where a lot of these economic fallacies arise from, in that there's a kind of sense of meaning about an argument that's being made. Somebody believes that the hoarding of tokens will reduce their value. Then they try and come up with a mathematical argument for it, in which they're actually trying to encapsulate their sort of gut instinct or feeling about the system into mathematical terms in order to give it more weight. And in the process of translating these English statements into mathematical equations, they make this dimensional error. So it was actually a good reminder to me that you should do dimensional analysis on your equations, because it's a very quick and easy way to pick up basic flaws. And actually I was looking at a derivation of a formula that I included in a patent application, where I was looking at things like angular velocity and moments of inertia. And it turns out in my 20-step derivation of the equation, in the middle I accidentally introduced and then cancelled the term. So although the final equation was correct, there was a flaw in my reasoning in the middle. Hopefully it won't affect the patent application too much, because I don't imagine the examiner's going to delve in detail and find the flaw on page 12 in the chain of derivation. But anyway, a useful trick if you're doing some mathematics. Remember the old high school techniques that your teachers taught you, and don't just rely on the fact that you've been at it so long that surely you don't make mistakes anymore. As for mathematics and economics, it's something that's on my to-do list. I'm aware of the fact that personally I'm woefully undereducated in the economic theory stakes, and when it comes to blockchain and cryptocurrencies, it would probably be useful to have a bit more knowledge in that space. So thanks, Scott, for the amusing as well as informative paper. Thanks to the rest of you for watching this video, and I'll see you again soon in the next one. Bye for now.